Hello, everyone. This is Clay Groves, the Chief Executive Fish Nerd from the Fish Nerds Podcast. This week, we are releasing an older episode number 42. This one features Brad Klose. Now, Brad, we met at, I think the Rockingham Expo years and years ago, and he invented a lure called the Turbo Weedless Spinner. And the reason we're releasing this show again is because Nancy, his wife, contacted us and let us know that Brad died. And Brad was a big friend and fan and listener of the show. We liked him an awful lot. On a personal level, just thought he was one of the most generous, kind people I've met. Great dad, just super nice. I really, really liked him, and I really enjoyed his product. I actually caught fish using his weedless spinner, and I would have liked him even if I didn't catch fish. But the whole thing is just... He was just a little bit older than me, and so when this happens, you really kind of realize how important it is to remember to hug people close to you. And I wanted just to all listeners out there to let you know that I appreciate you, I love you, I'm glad you're part of this show, and I hope you enjoy this older episode featuring now the late Brad Klose, a friend of the show. And hey, we'll miss you, buddy. But I don't know what to say when this happens. But just lots of love out to Brad and your family. Enjoy this show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
May I have your attention, please?
Hello and welcome.
Wow.
And now, on with the show.
Welcome to the Fish Nerds Podcast. It is the latest about fish, fishing, and eating fish. I am Dave.
And I am Clay. Together we talk about fishy stuff that's happened to us, people we know, and other fish nerds we've seen. Anything is fair game, and it's a good bet that my dog will interrupt this podcast with her new squeaky toys.
Oh, very nice, very nice. What's your dog's name?
Ruthie.
Ruthie.
Yeah.
Very good.
My kids bought her squeaky toys today.
Oh,
so.
That's nice. What do you have there? It looks like an ice cream cone. Ruthie was in the latest video from Clay Groves Productions, right?
That's right. Catch 'em All LLC.
Right. To protect the innocent, right?
That's right.
We have stanky bait buckets full of things to talk about today.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing all the things we have to talk about today.
Right.
We caught up with Brad Klose of Turbo Weedless Spinner. Mm-hmm. Very, very cool. It's great talking with him. You know, one of the reasons I found out why I like him, I think, because he's got Indiana roots, Hoosier roots.
Yeah, you like those people who are far from the ocean. For whatever reason.
I do, and I like that during the interview we actually talked about a place that we had a shared knowledge of, and it's, what are the chances that we come out here to move to the Northeast? I live in New Hampshire. He lives in Massachusetts, right?
Right.
And then, but we ended up going in the summers to this same Lake Wawasee.
I know, and I just felt left out of the conversation.
Yeah, well.
And my ego can't take too many more of those kind of conversations. Like, what about me? What about Clay?
Right.
I just want to be loved. Is that so wrong?
Well, you have a chance to talk in this podcast because not only did we catch up with Brad, but we will talk about fishing underwater, which is I know it's something that you've been trying to do. And you've been designing equipment to do it. So we'll talk about that. I have a interesting story about purchasing things from the online angling company Fish USA. And,
are they our new sponsor?
They are not our new sponsor, and I'll tell you why. And
wrecked another one.
And then we're going to talk about our shark fishing trip. Hey,
that's today, right? We went shark fishing today.
We did. It's as if we didn't go, which we didn't. but we'll talk about what happened with our fish, with our shark trip. And then we have Fish Nerd swag, hats.
Oh, yeah.
Hats. And then another reoccurring segment that we're liking a lot is great moments in fishing history.
You need to add some echo effect to that. History.
I'll do that. Here, I'll try it again. Ready?
Yeah.
Great moments in fishing history. See? That was impressive, huh?
Very echoey indeed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And this week we'll be talking about the first plastic worm.
Ooh.
And then we have a couple fish in the news. I'm going to die here.
Is that from the fishnerds.com newsroom?
It is. We've got synergy. We have synergy now with our podcast world and our web world.
Yeah, we've redesigned. We now have our very own Fish Nerds Nation news department.
Yes.
Yeah,
and if you go to Fish
full-time
Nerds...
staffers.
And Katie Couric is actually on staff.
Really?
She uses a pseudonym. She just says she's Dave, but it's Katie Couric.
Her voice is so different too.
I know. But
she's still
anyway,
kind of cute still.
So that's the show. It's going to be a big one.
Well, let's do it.
Brad Klose with Turbo Weedless Spinners. We met Brad a couple years ago, I guess, and what an interesting guy. He's got a real entrepreneurial heart.
Mm-hmm.
And he is the inventor and the producer of the Turbo Weedless Spinner. And we caught up with him to hear the latest about what's happening with the lures. Brad, how are you?
I'm doing very well, Dave. How are you?
Good.
I'm good too. Thanks for asking.
Clay, how are you?
Great. Hey, thanks so much.
Long time.
It has been a long time. And Brad, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a long time. We've been talking about, I think for about a year, you and I have been talking about getting you on the show. And then finally this afternoon, I forget, you emailed me with something, and I said, hey, what are you doing tonight? And I said, come on the show, and you said you'd come on, and we're happy to have you. And I've been fishing with your lures this summer.
How do you like them? I know you've tested the old ones from last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent you some of the new ones that I've been experimenting with.
Right. So let me describe the lures to our listeners. So the first lure you sent me, it's a silicone body. It's kind of conical shaped, but it's twisty. So it spins in the water, and it has a treble hook on it and like trailers on it. And it's weedless. You can chuck it right into the heavy weeds and it doesn't snag or anything. And then the new one you sent me is the same, but it has that, like, what's it called? Pentapus?
It's a pentapus.
Yeah, so it has looks like a big squid. I haven't fished that one as much as the original ones. And the original ones I've been able to catch smallmouth bass with pretty regularly, which I'm happy with. And the bigger one I've been throwing in the ocean, hoping to get a striped bass, but they haven't hit it yet. But I like how it looks. It's just very cool looking, all rubbery and gooey. It reminds me of the old wacky wall walkers from when we were kids.
Oh, yeah, I play with those.
Yeah, so your pentapus attachment looks like a wacky wall walker on the back of your spinner. And if you want to see what these look like, you can go to turboweedlessspinner.com, and you'll see a whole gallery of what we're talking about. You probably should check that out while you're listening to the show.
Now, Brad, I also tried out some of the lures that you shared with us, and Clay actually was generous. He's usually greedy about all the free stuff that we get. I don't see.
I never share.
But he passed some of your lures on. I have a request. Can you make turbo treeless spinners?
You know, the only thing, and that's what a few of my clientele and tell me I can throw it right in the woods. The only time I get is I wrap the line around the tree. I'm like, yeah, I have the same problem. Then I got to kayak over there and unwrap it, you know. I'm working on it.
Okay, good. Good. When you do, I'm all over that, so that's good. So that's good. So what's the latest development in the Turbo Weedless Spinner world?
I've concluded my research, and it takes me months. It took me 2 months, and it took me a month and a half to look at this squid after I met Mark Dove from Flip It Bait Company in South Carolina. And I've come to the conclusion, and people said, what is it? Well, it's a squid. Obviously, it looks like a squid to me. It might work in the ocean as a bigger. But finally, last evening's conclusion I came to was that tentacles on the back of the delivery system, which being the turbo, with the treble hook embedded or not embedded, it's sitting there ready to get any fish. But it's a nest of leeches, multiple leeches swimming together. Because I've been bringing it back for the bass at incredible slow speeds, but playing with the cat. And they're all over it. I mean, it's a bass every time. I got kids hanging off the boats. That's where I'm concluding that part of the research.
It's interesting. I've seen more and more of those lures that represent schools of bait. So not only the minnows, where you see those umbrella rigs that have 4 or 5 of the jigs rolling. That's really interesting that you have basically a leech umbrella going on.
Yeah, in a compact delivery system. And then people say, well, it's a rat. It looks like a rat. Well, yeah, maybe it does if you're, bringing it across the top. Maybe it's a frog, when I hit it, but the lily pad's just right. Or, you can pluck off those tails and you can have 2. But I got to thinking last night, and it's a group of leeches.
A group of leeches? Do leeches school up?
A school, have you ever watched leeches? How they swim through the water like a ribbon?
I'll tell you a story real quick. So I was hiking with my mother-in-law up in New Hampshire, and we got up on the Kancamagus Highway. We found this pristine mountain lake, and she says, "Oh, I'm going to go walk in the water and take my picture." And I said, "Okay." And I grabbed her camera, and she takes her shoes and socks off, and she walks out into the water, and I notice dozens and dozens of leeches swimming towards her feet. And so, of course, I did what any good son-in-law would do, which is say nothing. And let her keep wading in the water because it was making me happy. And so she waded out to about her knees, and I'm laughing and crying so hard because I'm laughing. And my wife finally asked me what I was laughing at, and I said, "Look in the water at her feet." And there was just piles of leeches all over her feet, and it brought me great joy, So yes is the answer to your question.
Wow, you're a horrible, horrible person.
I don't think so.
They're harmless. Kinda.
Yeah.
Well, I've used them personally for medical treatment in the hospital before in the past.
See, I was doing her a favor. Thank you.
See? I mean, it's painless light.
I'm a hero. I cured her lack of leech foot.
So you're familiar with the leeches traveling in packs.
I guess I am. I never considered it until you said it, and then I'm like, wait a minute, yeah, there it is. So, hey, when I'm fishing this turbo squid thing, should I be ripping it fast through the weeds, or should I be going real slow? Should I put a weight in the front of it? What should I be doing with the thing to catch more fish?
Well, I got to do my research, and I'll write a whole paper on it. Not a paper, but I'll do a blog on my blog, but which has been running around in my head. I always got stuff in my head, new ideas. But anyways, I've been running it slow. Now I drift fish a lot, so the wind's going to cause a definite a necessity for using a little bit more weight. If I'm drifting fast, so I'll put a bullet weight, nothing fancy. I'd go with the steel. And so I was doing tungsten last year until the pipe, about made me go broke on tungsten. But
right.
So yeah, steel bullet weight, all from a 1/4 ounce ish up to about a half when it's really windy. But I prefer the non-windy days when I can see the weeds and the little pockets in there, and I'll let it fall down in there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I've been catching most of them. Yes, the other day I did hit a couple on top water fast, popping it and buzzing it. I just wanted to make sure that aspect didn't lose any. I guess leeches can travel light speed too, I guess. I don't know.
I guess so.
That video that you produced, I saw a video of the lure going through heavy weeds. That is a really effective video, I think.
I think so.
Well, we put on many hats, and Nancy, and I, with me hanging out, and the GoPro, I mean, geez, without the GoPro, how would you do that, And I had so much weed on my arm, it was like 100 pounds, I think, and I'm not into videography, I guess.
It came out really good.
Well, Brad, I totally admire your just American ingenuity as you're figuring this out. We do a history of great moments in fishing history. We've started this segment, and this week we're going to be talking about the first plastic worms, and those started in a basement in Ohio. So you're right on track to having the next plastic worm lure out there, starting it in the right way.
What I think is cool is that I can take the South, which I've gone to the South, and I've gone to the North. The North is big spinnerbait, right? We like spinnerbait for everything up here. I like spinnerbaits. I grew up in the North. You go down South, they like their plastic. By combinating the two and providing a multifunctional lure, yes, I think we can go far with it.
That's really interesting. I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. The Northeast is all about the MEPS spinner style stuff, and that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that. So, Brad, when we have folks on the podcast, we like to deliver a bit of a quiz. Okay?
Oh no!
Yes. So, this quiz, there's an interesting story behind this quiz, in that we had prepared it for a guest that, because we had audio difficulties, we couldn't deliver it. And the reason we prepared it for that person is that his company was very similar to the name of a pharmaceutical company. So as we were putting the quiz together, we decided, we ought to make something to do with drugs with this guy. So you've inherited this quiz. So what this quiz is it's a lure quiz, and I will mention 3 lures. And there'll be either an actual name of a lure, like from a company, or a style of lure. And then there'll be another name. So 2 names are lures. One name is going to be the street name of a drug or drug paraphernalia. Okay?
I gotcha.
And so your job is to point out which one is not the lure, i.e., which one's the drug. All right, so let's try question number 1.
And Brad has an advantage, right? Brad, you've been a nurse, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so you might know a lot of this stuff.
Oh, he's going to ace this thing.
He better ace this thing.
Okay, I'll try. Maybe I've done too many.
So question number 1. Here are your 3 names: Curly Tail Grub, Goofballs, or Daredevil.
Well, I'm supposed to pick the 2 that I've used before?
No. No, you're supposed to just pick the one that's a drug.
The Goofballs.
Yeah, very good. Goofballs. Very good. Question number 2. Mogies, Sluggos, or Swedish Pimples?
Oh, man. What was the first one?
Mogies.
Mogies. I know the second one's not. The third one was what?
Swedish Pimple.
I don't know. I'm going to go with the first one being the drug.
Yes, Mogies. It's apparently a tranquilizer.
I've never heard of that.
Very good. All right. So you got you're 2 for 2 here. This is great. Question number 3. A Senko, a Deadly Dick, or a Red Devil?
A Deadly Dick.
You think the Deadly Dick's a drug?
I don't know. What was the last one?
Red Devil.
Oh, Red Devil. No, yeah, Red Devil, no. Yeah, that's probably a drug.
Yep, Red Devil's a drug.
Okay, we were the Red Devils. When we were kids, my brother and I were bad, boy, and we played baseball. Our first team was the Red Devils. Oh, all right.
Named after barbiturates.
We'll do two. We'll do 2 or 3 more. At least
there's 27 more, Dave.
Oh my gosh.
At least the team wasn't called the Deadly Dicks. All right.
I'm on that team.
All right. Question number 4: speedball, beetle spin, or rattle trap.
Well, that would be the 8-ball.
Speedball, yes.
Speedball is
a mixture of cocaine and heroin.
Not a good thing.
Those are horrible drugs. Yeah.
Yeah, mess you up. All right, we'll do 2 more here. A power hitter, a flutterfish, or a panther martin.
Well, Panther Martin's a company. A flutterfish?
Yep.
Is that what you said?
Yeah, a flutterfish or a power hitter.
Oh man, I think a power hitter is probably like a bong, right?
Yeah.
So let's go with that one. All right.
You're unstoppable. Yeah.
All right, so far you're acing all these. We'll do one more here. Let me find a good one. Do you do much fly fishing?
No, you're gonna stump me there. I don't know.
Yeah, hit him with that one.
All right, you're going to get that one.
All right. So,
a Miss Emma, a Dahlberg diver, or Lefty's deceiver.
Dahlberg diver.
Dahlberg diver is actually a lure. It's a fly. A Miss Emma is apparently slang for morphine.
What is it? What was
Miss
it?
Emma is morphine, I guess.
Oh, I never heard of that. All right.
yeah, but
A Dahlberg diver, I think, is, if I remember right, it's like deer hair kind of in a backwards funnel, and it shoots underwater. So very good. Regardless, you've totally won. So congratulations. We'll
let you be on our show. That's what you've won.
Awesome. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Well, that was good. Yeah,
that was
very
good. Hey, Brad. So how can our listeners get hold of your lures, and where can they find you?
When?
Now.
Well, I can't make any lures. The power's out.
Well,
yeah,
tomorrow.
He was saying that a storms went through and knocked out the power, so he's not making lures now at all.
Oh, well, good night off.
I'm really worried, and there's people waiting for me, and the power's out, and I could. Oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? I can make them. They can find me on my website. It's www.turboweedlessspinner.com. There's 3 S's in there. Or Facebook. People message me on Facebook.
Yeah, and we'll put links up on our website, and of course we've shared it on Facebook a number of times, so Brad's easy to get hold of, easy to talk to, so make sure you visit turboweedlessspinner.com and find him on Facebook and tell him hi. Thanks so much, Brad, for coming on the show.
Thanks a lot, Brad.
Hey, it was great. Thanks for playing this.
You're welcome. That was great. We're so happy that Brad took the time during his busy thunderstorm power outage schedule to talk with us tonight. And if you would like to get hold of Brad, as you heard, you can go to turboweedlessspinner.com. There are 3 S's in a row in that word, so don't let that confuse you. Or just go to Facebook and look for Turbo Weedless Spinner and hit that like button and tell Brad that you want to check out his lures.
I've got a story, Clay.
You do?
I have a story about hubris.
About who?
Do you know what hubris is?
Hubris is the bone on your arm next to your tibia and your fibia. Of course I know what it is. I used to be a science teacher.
Yeah, that's true. Not an English teacher, though.
No.
Hubris is when you're full of yourself.
Oh,
And it
that's
was
us.
Yes, that is. That was always the undoing of all the Greek tragedies, was some doofus had hubris, and that did him in. And I had a healthy dose of hubris this last week.
Oh, I'd love to
Let me
hear
tell you a
story.
story. Let me tell you a story.
Get comfortable, folks. Pour a beer, relax, and listen closely.
It's a story of me besmirching the good name of Fish USA. So,
Did you say besmirching?
besmirching, yeah. I guess it's just smirching. I don't know. But anyway, the Fish USA, I decided to go buy a telescopic fishing rod. You ever just get kind of like, I want it now kind of thing, so you just jump online and you look for what you want, you find the price and you buy it, right?
Absolutely. Do it all the time.
Because I know you had some to lend me.
Yeah, I have one to give you.
I know. And then what do?
For
I try to
free.
buy one for $7, right? So, but anyway, so I check it out, and Fish USA has a good deal on this. It's a Eagle Claw telescoping rod. I think it's 5 foot 6 inches spinning rod. Yeah, short little guy, and which would be perfect for my purposes. Because I needed something to, urban fishing. I needed something to fit in my backpack, and it was going to be perfect. So I wait, and I get it after several days. It shows up. And I open the packaging, and I'm really excited, right? It's a new rod, new fishing equipment. There's nothing better than that. I open up the telescoping rod. I'm liking it. It's got a good feel. It's not too wiggly. It's pretty solid. It is yellow. It's the Eagle Claw yellow, right?
I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, and I'm very happy with it. And then I go to close it. And I guess technically the advertising for the rod didn't say you could close it. It just said it was telescoping.
So it open but not close.
Right. So I opened this thing. It had 3 or 4 segments, and the last 2 segments seized. Just rock solid seized. And I've owned telescoping rods for years. We used to call them Jayhawkers growing up. And I knew how you gently kind of bump them to get that seize sections out. You don't want to break the sections. You don't want to do all that. So I started working on this thing. And there's nothing worse than getting new equipment and having it mess up. Right?
Really?
Yeah. And I just got... And so as I'm working on this, finally one of the segments gave way, so I was able to collapse a little bit more, but I had the last one. As I was working on it, the eyelet at that thing just fell off. Clunk. And I went, all right. I can live with that.
Was the eyelet on the very top or one of the middle eyelets?
It was one of the middle ones.
Really? That
Yeah.
shouldn't
So
happen.
I know.
Unacceptable.
Unacceptable. But I thought, all right, it's an inexpensive rod. I can live with this. I can glue it back. Everything I own has glue on it somewhere.
Right.
And I can live with this. So then I was working on it again, and then the top fell off. The top rod tip eyelet fell off. And it fell off and shot across my shed. And I went, okay.
And now, I've seen your shed. That means it's gone.
So I said, all right, well, I'm at least going to get this thing unseized because I have extra rod tips. I could put one of those on if I really need it. So I'm working on it, and then the butt end of the rod fell off and rolled underneath my workbench. That was it. I blew a gasket, right? I was like, what? Oh, my God. So then what do? I jump on the USA website and go right to the review section, right? And I'm seething with snark. I've got so much snark going, it's just pathetic. And I get on there and I say, well, and I give it 1-star rating.
Oh, no. I just found it. You gave it a 1 fish. Can I read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. 100% failed product pending customer service fail. That's your title. This is Dave from New Hampshire. It has been a long... I'm going to do my impression of you.
Okay.
Okay. It has been a long time since I have... I did the worst Dave impression. Never mind. Look at that. It's been a long time since I have been this disappointed in a product. I should not have expected much from this inexpensive rod. but I think a single use is reasonable. That's fair. Now, let me ask you, did you do this before you even talked to customer service?
Yes. This is
kind
just
of a dick move.
It's a total dick move.
Yeah, okay,
total.
let me finish.
I'm ashamed.
I unpacked the item and extended the telescoping rod. It looked great, and I was very excited to try it out later today. I went to collapse the rod, and the top 2 sections seized. No worries. A little effort should free them up. So far, you're being positive. You know? I have owned telescoping rods for years, and I know they can be tricky. They're not that tricky. They're not supposed to be tricky, Dave. I gently tried to free the rod so it would work as advertised, knowing that the fragile fiberglass might break. Well, the rod did not break, but everything else did. The eyelet at the junction fell off, but I figured if this section ever freed up, I could re-glue that and live with it. Then the top eyelet fell off as I was trying to jolt the sections loose. When the bottom fell out, the little plastic plug that says Made in China, it was the last straw.
See, that was a little racist dig there.
I saw that. I was waiting for that. I gathered up all the packing material and prepared to return it. I was surprised to not see a return label like I do with Cabela's or Amazon. Come on. I checked the return policy, and it saws. You got some typos in here. You're angry. And it saws that returns must not be used or broken. I called customer service, who did not apologize. It made me feel like I was inconveniencing her. And she said she would have to have someone call me. We will wait to see if they make this right. I am an active blogger, podcaster, and admin of a fishing Facebook page with 10,000 fans. Believe me, if they screw me over on this, they will know about it. Do you know who I
am? Oh, man. Yeah, it wasn't one of my best moments.
Hang on. Pros, fast shipping. Okay. Cons, seized up, not functional, components fell apart, iffy customer service. Best uses, maybe to steak tomatoes. Great.
Oh, so.
Oh, Dave.
The worst. No, it's terrible.
Do
the
you
worst
know
part
who
of this.
I'm Dave. I am 50% of the fish nerds.
How dare you? How dare you?
Oh, man, it's the longest review they got. Like, they must have got an email going, you have a new review. Yay, we got a new review. Ah, shoot. Who's this guy? I hate being besmirched.
Oh, man.
Oh, Dave.
So, yeah, I know. The worst thing is that, so the initial customer service, the woman that made me feel like I was inconveniencing her.
Maybe it worked.
Turns out she's just a big mass calling director. Like, she has no idea that this is even a fishing-related call.
Right. She's a call center.
She's a call center. And so then she said, well, we'll have somebody call you. And that's what got me going. It's like, God, why can't you just talk to me? Why are you having somebody call me?
Because she can't talk to you.
That's right.
She learned how to speak English at a kiosk in India.
But so Tim from Pennsylvania at Fish USA gives me a call up. Tim is a really nice guy and was very calm and talked me through it. And the other thing that got me razzed up is that when I was reading the return policy, it basically said you can return anything that we can put back in the package and resell. And I'm like, well, if it breaks,
that's a terrible policy to write.
It's a terrible policy to write.
If it's broken, you can't. Too bad.
You're out of luck.
Yeah.
But Tim, he did the troubleshooting. He did all the stuff he was supposed to do, and he said, "All right, you have two choices. We could replace it, or we could just refund your money." And I'm like, just refund the money. I don't have faith in the product. It's not his fault.
Right.
And then I apologized to him. I said, "All right, so you might see a review come through with me being a little upset, and I just want to say that I feel bad about it because Tim did did it right, and Fish USA is okay in my book because they came through and was reasonable, very knowledgeable, and did it right. So I'm the jerk in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, I always I sell stuff online all the time, and it makes me crazy when people write a bad review before they talk to me. I think, what kind of jerks would not even give me a chance to give good customer service before they would? And you're that kind of jerk.
I am that kind of jerk. Well, the problem is you worry that you lose the fire, if you wait too long.
Yeah, that's true. You would, but maybe an hour.
Yeah,
is okay.
I gotta say, that's a good policy.
I have shopped from Fish USA a whole bunch of times, and the shipping is almost day after.
It's very fast.
I think I got my auger from them, and they're great. And they're selling the same stuff everyone else sells, good prices. So hopefully they forgive you. Do you know who I am? Did you tell what was the guy's name you were talking to?
Tim.
Did you tell Tim, hey, Tim, I'm a fish nerd?
No, I did not.
No?
I did not identify our brand in the situation.
All right. Now, they probably are listeners to our show. One of our...
Anyway,
so,
I apologize to Fish Nerd Nation. I apologize to Fish USA. It was a low point. It was a rough day. I apologize.
So you can go to fishusa.com and you can search for Eagle Claw telescoping rod to read Dave's from New Hampshire, Dave's review. Worst ever. Hey, Dave.
What?
I have a snorkel.
You do a snorkel?
I do. I have a snorkel, and I was looking at my...
Wait, real quick. Snorkel. What a great name.
Hey, it is a good...
Who came up with that?
I don't know. And even worse, who came up with the spelling of snorkel? Because I guarantee you, every time you ever type the word snorkel, you're going to think it's spelt wrong.
That's true.
Because it's spelt phonetically when everything else is not. So when you think of words that end in that old sound, nickel, snorkel, you think L-E. But snorkel is S-N-O-R-K-E-L.
Yeah.
Snorkel. So anyway, I have one of those.
Yes. Anyway, that's all. Sorry, I was just taken by that word. Anyway, go ahead.
It's a good word. It's a nice word. But I have one of those, and I've been wanting to get in the water with it and do some videotaping with my GoPro, and I was struggling with trying to hold the camera and not drown at the same time. I went online looking at GoPro mounts for snorkels, and like $80 to mount your GoPro. Yeah, you can buy a snorkel mask with a GoPro mount on the top of it for $80.
Oh wow!
I know, and I had a budget of 13 cents.
So there's a delta there.
Yeah. So I went to the hardware store and I bought a single screw that was threaded for the same threading that you might find on a tripod.
Yeah, I think it's like 1/4 inch. I think.
Yeah, whatever it is, and I just super glued it to the top of my snorkel mask. Nice. That's all I did. And then so my GoPro has a attachment for a tripod, and I was able to put that on my mask and go snorkeling. And I was trying hard to snorkel and fish underwater at the same time. The goal was the goal was to cast the line underwater, catch a fish, and release it, all without coming out of the water. Wow. And I tried it for 2 days, a few days ago. So, 2 days in a row. Really hard. Really hard. I was able to find fish. I was able to get fish to look at my bait. But they also were looking right at me and going, look at that giant thing floating over me. And I could not get them to bite the bait.
Wow. And really casting must be kind of hard.
What I did was I would just let line out and swim backwards.
Oh,
so the line would stay where I was, and they would kind of go out. Or I'd be in deep enough water where I can just kind of feed line down and jig. Yeah, casting is hard. A few times I'd pop my hand in the water and cast over the water and then let it all sink down. I would reel a lure in that way.
That's nice. That's
Yeah,
nice.
but
Well,
I couldn't catch any fish.
Well, I saw some of the video, and I guess it wasn't you with the gear, but it was you swimming around logs and things, and it looks like there were some good trout swimming.
Well, hang on. Well, because I was fishing in the lake first. I was, at the summer camp I work at, I have a pontoon boat, and I take all the kids fishing. So, like, I bring the kids on the pontoon boat away from the waterfront director's sight line. This is an important detail, because the waterfront director would not approve of the counselor in charge of a bunch of kids jumping off the boat. So, because I'm in charge of all these kids.
Right. And then you
So
just
after
jump off the boat.
I go, around the corner in the lake from where he can see me, and then I jump in the water and I yell up, "You guys keep fishing! I'm going to snorkel around your lines and see if I can get some fish pictures." So, I actually got some really good underwater fish pictures of kids catching fish, catching pumpkin seeds and yellow perch, and I got some cool stuff. So I haven't edited that together yet. That'll come up next week sometime on fishnerds.com. Then the next day, I went to the Saco River with my kids and my dog, and I snorkeled there, and that's where I found the trout. And the Saco River in North Conway, New Hampshire, is like super clear water. You can see forever in it. And that's where I was chasing some brown trout, some rainbows, and some brookies. And that was a fly fishing only section of the river, and so I'd have to get a little fly rod underwater to make that work for me. And that would be really challenging to cast that one.
That would.
Yeah.
I would love to see the game warden flipping through the rules as he says you're out there.
I mean, I'm sure if as long as I'm using a fly rod and it's got a fly reel on it, casting it doesn't matter.
That's true.
So I wonder if I took like the top section of a fly rod, like a 3-foot section, and just taped a fly reel to the bottom of that.
Yeah.
And then put a fly tippet line on there, and then just went underwater and fished. I'd be fly fishing.
I know. There's no dork clause for any fishing law.
There might in New Hampshire. There might be.
They just went, you know what? I know technically you're legal, but oh my god.
Yeah, stop it. You don't even look cool. A little bit cool with a GoPro on your forehead. Really dorky with your tiny fly fishing rod. So, but it's fun. I mean, I'm really having a good time with it, and I plan on doing it some more. And then I saw online, and we'll put this on fishnerds.com anyway, this viral video going around. Don't mention this?
No, I'm saying we never put anything on Fish Nerds.
No, we should.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
We should. This is a note to ourselves.
It's a note to ourselves. Being very serious.
To myself. But we'll put that up. Maybe if we get around to it, we'll put that on fishnerds.com. We found a guy with scuba gear on in a river fishing for smallmouth bass, and he's sitting in the current, and he's able to use the current to cast out a little bit. But he's underwater all the way. He's not snorkeling.
Right. Right.
But I felt like he trumped me a little bit. I didn't like that feeling.
He beat you to the punch.
Beat me to the punch. So I'm going to have to do better.
You need to get one of those hoses and have your kids pump the air compressor.
Oh,
up on you know, like one
have
of those
you met my
divers.
kids? They get so distracted. They can't even finish dinner. Like they get so distracted. I would die. They would just completely forget I'm down there. Like they'd be pumping away at first. I'd be like, "You're doing a great job," blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden, I'd be choking, and then my kid Zoe would be going, "Hey, look at that bird!" And Sam would see something shiny on the ground and go, "Ooh, pretty!" And then that's it. I'd be dead.
It.
Yeah, it'd be terrible. And then they'd apologize later, and everyone forgive them because they're cute. But then I'd be dead. So it's a bad idea.
Captain Shawn Tibbets.
Oh, man, I sure like that guy.
I know. I like his name, Captain Shawn Tibbets.
I know. Do you think he changed? That's his stage name, like for fishing?
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe it's just like Frank Jones. It's Captain Shawn Tibbets.
You're gonna get a phone call from Frank Jones going, guys, I like my name. My mom gave me that name.
Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am?
Oh, your ego's gonna get you best of you. But everyone knows Captain Shawn. I was in Saco, Maine the other day at a bait shop, and I said, "Hey, I'm going shark fishing. And I went to the bait shop. No one cared one bit about who I was there. And I was right across from the water park I was bringing my kids to. And I said, hey, I'm going shark fishing next week here on the Miss Megan 2. And they go, oh, you're going with Captain Shawn. I went, yeah. And they went, okay. And it ended the conversation. And I said, oh, okay. Well, I'll buy a sabiki rig and leave.
Fish. I don't think many people got into fishing because of their people skills.
But I think if you own a bait shop, you own a store, customer service ought to be important to you.
It ought to be.
It ought to be.
You know what I think? I think you ought to write a review.
I should. I'll let you write it for me. That would be
solid. There you go.
But hey, let's talk about Captain Shawn. Now, Captain Shawn is the captain of the FV fishing vessel Miss Megan 2. You can find that at F/V Miss Megan 2 on Facebook. And he is taking us and a listener shark fishing. It's supposed to be today. In fact, we were going to record our podcast live from the boat today. That was the plan. We had everything ready to go, except for experience doing that kind of thing. So, right. Everything except the knowledge on how to actually make that work. We had going for us. And then turns out today is the worst weather we've had in months.
I know. It's so disappointing.
There's been tornadoes today, Dave.
I know. Revere got hit yesterday, and then today there were tornadoes. I know.
Yeah, cars overturned. So anyway, we opted not to go fishing during tornadoes. So now we have to wait 2 full weeks before we can get out there again. But we're looking
one of the highlights was me leaving a message at work saying, "Shark fishing trip canceled. Going to reschedule." And everybody I talked to at work was like, "What? You're going shark fishing?" They didn't know I was going shark fishing.
Isn't it fun to say?
It is. I know. You feel like like a real person kind of thing.
I know. And the cool thing is we had a photographer lined up to come along with us from Wise Guy Photography, and everything was set up. And Dave was going to put my snorkel with a GoPro on and jump in the chum slick and take shark pictures for us.
Yeah, but, we can't do it, so sorry.
Sorry. But listen, 2 weeks we'll be recording live from the FV Miss Megan 2. And meantime, you should be taking your time and heading to his Facebook page, hitting that like button, and watching for the news to come in on that trip, because it's going to be epic.
Epic.
We're even going to cook fish and eat them on the boat. I think a dogfish.
Yeah, that is going to be exciting. We ought to get our recipes all lined up.
We should, because we should have just a bag with drop all the fish in there and shake it up and then throw it in the George Foreman grill. And we're good to go.
Hey, I double dog dare you, by the way.
To what?
To bring a banana.
On Captain Shawn's boat?
Yes.
I think he would lose his mind.
I think he would too.
I don't know him well enough to want to push him, because we're shark fishing and a lot can happen out there. I might bring a banana now that you mention it.
just to watch him lose his.
I won't. He listens to our show, so I've already. Yeah.
He's gonna frisk you for a banana now.
I bet you. You know who doesn't listen to this show? Our photographer from Wise Guy Creative. So I might put a banana in his backpack, and while he's unpacking his camera equipment, he'll go, a banana. And then Oh, yeah.
It's been a while since we grooved to the swag.
You know what I like about the swag, Dave, is it makes you dance.
What do you like?
It makes you dance.
Yeah,
for those who don't know, Dave and I are FaceTiming for the first time ever. I'm looking at Dave while he records, and it makes me uneasy. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But he's got his Fish Nerd swagger on, because he's got his Fish Nerds hat. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So.
But you have hats on hand, right?
I've been trying to keep just maybe 3 or 4 printed and ready to ship. So if people buy them, I can get them out the next day. I shipped out 4 this week, and people got them the day after I sent them. So fast shipment. Fish Nerds hats are $20 each. High quality gray coloring.
Wow.
Embroidered hats with the Fish Nerds logo on them. And $4 shipping anywhere in the lower 48 continental United States. $10 anywhere else in the whole wide world. And I sent some to Scotland and Canada.
And
to Canada.
And, some of you folks may be out there thinking that, I know if I wasn't affiliated with this and I didn't know the backstory, I would think, wow, $20 for a hat, maybe a lot, maybe too much. But you know what? You're getting more than a hat.
Mm-hmm.
You are getting a piece of the support of the Fish Nerd Nation. And, and you're getting to participate in the whole social aspect of it, because what happens is when you get the hat, you will be compelled to take a picture of yourself with the hat.
Oh,
and you'll be compelled to take a picture of the fish that you catch with the hat, because you will catch more fish with the hat.
Yeah.
And it's more than a hat. That's all I have to say. It's more than a hat.
Well, Nancy Klose, from Brad Klose's wife from Turbo Weedless Spinner, she wears hers every time she fishes. And if you go on her Facebook page, the Turbo's Facebook page, you'll see lots of Fish Nerds hats there with big fish. So, and guaranteed to cover your bald spot. If you got a bald spot on top of your head, the hat will totally cover it up, assuming your bald spot's on the top. It does not help if you're bald on the sides of your head.
Right, but they're honestly they are well-made hats. So.
Yeah, and I can order special colors if you don't like gray. Gray is my standard, but if you want anything, the guy from Scotland ordered a seafoam green hat.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, Scottish.
He's Scottish. What does he know? He wears a dress.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. All right, that's that.
Great moments in fishing history.
What is this? A new segment?
This is a new segment. This is a very fish nerdy segment. This is going deep for the story, learning more than anybody ought to know about fishing.
I've actually been really enjoying this segment. In the last few weeks, you've done Berkeley, and you did what's the other one you did?
We did Berkeley, and we also did somebody else.
Yeah,
what the heck was it?
I don't remember.
Zebco,
yeah, 0 Hour Bomb Company. So really good. I've been listening to him back and going, man, we're gonna know so much stuff. And now you can too, with great moments in fishing history. Today we're talking about the very first plastic worms.
The very first, and that's something I hadn't thought about. You look at some of these old hard baits, some of the big striper plugs and the whatever, and they're coming from almost the turn of the century, and some of these flies are really old as well. But if you think about it, plastics are fairly new invention.
That's true.
Fairly new thing. So when I started poking around, it turns out that they've only been around since, the very earliest, the 40s, and they only really started being used for fishing in the 50s and 60s. And Bill Dance, do you know that name, Bill Dance?
I know that name, yeah.
Yeah,
Bill Dance is like what strippers do. They dance for bills.
Yes,
that's how they earn their money.
And he was one of the first ones to use a plastic worm in a bass tournament.
Really?
So, yeah. And so this week we are talking about the Creme Bass Company. And is that how you would pronounce it? Creme?
I would. I think it's a terrible name.
It is a terrible name, but you know what you've done?
What?
You've offended the owners.
Well, they knew who I was.
That's their last name. Nick and Cosma Creme.
I bet it's like Creme.
Creme?
Yeah.
We'll say Creme.
We can always email them.
Cosma Creme. We'll say Creme. What the heck? So Creme, the king of baits. And the history goes, the lure that had the biggest impact on American fishing, and this is from the About Us page on the Creme Lure Company, started in the late 1940s in a basement in Akron, Ohio.
No kidding.
That's where Nick and Cosma Creme cooked up the perfect combination of vinyl, oils, and pigments to produce a molded worm that not only looked and felt soft and alive, but also stayed that way when exposed to air over time.
Really?
Yeah. In 1949 would be the official birth year of the now famous Creme lure.
Wow.
The first marketed worm was the Creme Wiggly Worm. It was sold. They're going for the name there. It was sold by mail in 1951 at the cost of $1 for a pack of 5.
You know, the price hasn't gone up all that much when you think about it in those terms.
Yeah, that's true. When the product was shown at the Cleveland Sportsman's Show, a distributor sold 9,600 packs to curious anglers in just a few days.
Wow.
So that was a big deal. Big deal.
Anglers are so curious.
Well, and we've done the Sportsman's Show circuit.
Yeah.
And can you imagine selling 9,600 of anything?
We sold 2
at one of
hats.
those? We sold 2 hats. So this was a big deal. The demand soared, and the worm business quickly outgrew Cosma's Kitchen. So I like Cosma Creme.
I do
what
too.
A great name. Yeah.
I'm curious now. I'm really curious about the pronunciation. Like, how wrong are we?
Oh, we're usually very wrong.
Yeah.
That's when Creme set up a small manufacturing plant in Akron, Ohio. The production was better, but they still had trouble meeting orders as demand grew. Huh. And then it goes on to talk about some of the different styles. You know, when they first did the worms, they did them all in the rigging. You've seen it where they have 3 hooks embedded.
Yeah, I've seen those. I've
plastic.
never used one. I'm afraid I would get snagged right away.
I used to use those a lot. There was a company called the Kelly Worm, and I grew up using those. They were really good for panfish and stuff like that. And they work pretty well. They're on a snelled hook, right? And they have 3 hooks coming out of the worm.
Yeah, I've seen them.
And it's all one unit. It's pretty neat. Actually, I used one the other day, and caught a 1-pound bass. So it was fun.
Right, that's
so Nick Creme died. He died in 1984.
Okay.
Ownership of the company was then passed to his 3 children, and the company continued under the management of his son, Mike. So it's a family-owned business.
Is it still family-owned?
I assume so. Still family-owned. And pretty neat how it all started with a husband and wife cooking plastic in the kitchen.
Yeah. So they were in Ohio, and now they are in Tyler, Texas.
They're in Tyler, Texas. That's right. That's the brief origin history of the Creme Lure Company and the first plastic worm.
Look at that. Well, hey, congratulations to the Creme company. Yeah. I'm still curious on how to say their name. I might want to call this 800 number and find out. Because if it's Creme, you're going to be in big trouble.
If it's Creme, we'll invite them on to shame me.
And they probably like to come on. We have more Facebook fans than them.
We do?
Yeah.
I've seen that. God, that brand is so familiar. You know, obviously it's been around as long as I've been. So.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because even their logo looks vintage and kind of cool.
Yeah.
That worm with a crown on the top of it, you know.
I know. That's awesome.
Yeah, very good. Nice job, Dave.
Thanks.
Nice report.
Fish in the news.
Love fish in the news.
All fish news is good news.
Usually.
Except this. Except if you're the kid in this story.
But he'll have a story to tell.
That's true. So we reported this story on our fishnerd.com website. And we entitled it Russian Roulette with Poison Reef Fish.
By the way, the fishnerds.com is the official news site of fishnerds.com.
Yes. Yeah. The fish nerds are happy to learn, this I'm reading from it now, are happy to learn that young Austin Gonglaves, Austin looks like he's going to recover from a nasty ciguatara poisoning in the Bahamas.
What is a ciguatara?
Ciguatara, that's a good question. So ciguatara is a foodborne illness caused by eating certain reef fish. Now, the stinker is that not all these fish are poisonous, and it's not because the species is poisonous, it's because what they eat.
Really? So
the flesh is contaminated with toxins originally produced by dinoflagellates. And there's one species, Gambrodiscus toxicus, lives in tropical, subtropical waters. These dinoflagellates adhere to the coral, algae, and seaweed. So these things are stuck to the food that the fish are then in turn eat. And then those fish can be eaten by larger carnivorous fish. And in this way, the toxins move up the food chain and biomagnify.
And do they live in the meat of the fish?
They do, and you can't smell it, you can't see it, and you can't cook it out.
Oh, you're kidding.
And according to the story in the Orlando Sentinel, you have a 1 in 50 chance of getting sick from eating a fish in that region from this poison.
That's pretty good odds.
1 in 50, you think?
I mean, it's in your favor. That's in your favor.
I think this kid was in a coma for a week.
Maybe he was tired. Maybe he was bored.
1 in 50. So if you knew you had a 1 in 50 chance of being in a week-long coma,
God, that sounds so
would
nice.
you eat that fish?
Yes. If that was only the worst thing that's going to happen.
Oh.
Like, if I wasn't going to die,
Yeah.
I guess I get to take a nap for a week. Yes. So, but a 1 in 50, those are terrible, odds. You wouldn't... odds of you winning that is so slim. I mean, you might as well just eat one.
Yeah, that's true. By the way, the fish was a mutton snapper. So the mutton... It does sound dirty. So the mutton snapper... mutton snapper ended up eating this and having its poison in its flesh.
So don't use dinoflagellates for bait.
That's true. Dinoflagellates bad. Don't use dinoflagellates for deodorant.
Nope.
Don't use dinoflagellates in toothpaste.
Nope.
Sex cream.
I don't even know what that. I don't even know what that means. I don't want to explore that any further.
So that's it. Fish in the news. Russian roulette with poison reef.
Good news, Dave. Thank you for sharing that with us. And
you're welcome.
Yeah, never say sex cream again. I'm just saying, never say it.
Or is it sex creme?
Just as terrible sounding. Only if you said it with a French accent, maybe it would work. I don't know.
Sex creme.
No, never mind. No, don't do that. I don't like it. You cross the line. Let's end this podcast before you hurt someone.
So that is it. You've listened to a couple of fish nerds when you could have been fishing.
We'd like to thank our families for supporting us while we podcast, go on fishing quests, and do all sorts of silly things that middle-aged guys do. If you would like to support the Fish Nerds, you can go to fishnerds.com and buy a Fish Nerds hat. Oh, yeah.
Special thanks. Special thanks to Brad Klose of Turbo Weedless Spinners for chatting with us about his lures and just being an all-around good guy. And special thanks to Tim from Fish USA.
Yeah, big apologies from Dave's ego. And until next time, follow the code of the Fish Nerds. Spawn early and often.
Avoid free lunches with strings attached.
And swim against the current every chance you get. Dave.